Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Friday. Is it Friday? No, it's Thursday. Thursday, June 27th. Hey, Peter. Hey, John. Thursday, June 27th, 2024. It's time for Bible Reading Fellowship. We're going to pick up our reading this morning in uh, Genesis chapter 25. Genesis 25. Hi, Maria. Reading out of the Legacy Standard Bible, the LSB. If you don't have your own copy of that fine translation, just open up a second tab on your computer and in the search bar, type read, R-E-A-D, .lsbible.org, read.lsbible.org. And when that page opens up, type Genesis 25 in the search bar provided for you there in the middle of the page. Hit enter. That'll bring up the text. Follow along as we read. And when we get to the end of the chapter or the bottom of the screen, just click on the right arrow, and that should that'll move you over to the next chapter. Boy, folks logging in fast. Scott, good morning. Chris, good morning. Big John, good morning to you all. Please, you're so enthusiastic getting here right on time. Go ahead and be enthusiastic about hitting that like button, please. Hit the like button. And YouTube likes that, and that will help get the word out a little more about what we're doing here. So hit that like button, please. I just said goodbye to my ladies, to Marie and Amanda. They just pulled out of the driveway a few minutes ago for a 3-day getaway. Roxy didn't even want to hardly eat this morning because everything going on in the house, and the ladies packing up. Whenever she sees luggage come out, she's like, "Uh-oh, someone's leaving." And she doesn't really like that so much. So it'll be interesting to see how she does here this weekend with just me and her together. We've done it many times before for much longer periods of time. I think my ladies went out to Southern California for, I don't know, 10 days, close to 2 weeks, leaving me and Roxy all alone. I hate doing Bachelor. I just do not like the Bachelor scene at all. Maria and I will be celebrating our 39th wedding anniversary here next month. Wow. It's the 27th. How many days we got? Let's see. We got we only got 3 days left in June. So, and July 6th is our anniversary. So counting today, we've got 9 days till our 39th wedding anniversary. So Maria and Amanda will be gone today, tomorrow, and they'll be back before dinner on Saturday. So I got a couple of nights to my lonesome. And tomorrow night I'll go over and have dinner and dessert with the Johnson family, with Donnie and Michelle and Jashani and Bethany. And do I cook? No. I could pop something out of a can and heat it up on the oven. So, Eunice, good afternoon. So, yesterday, boy, I have yet to be out on the streets this week. It's been such a very full week in different ways. Yes, I was planning on being out yesterday, and where was I yesterday? Oh, went over and cleaned it. This is our week to clean the church, and we usually do it on the weekend, Friday, Saturday. But since Maria and Amanda are gone, we did it yesterday. I spent a couple hours over there before church, after our Bible reading yesterday morning, and then we did finished up the cleaning once we finished up our fellowship last night, our Wednesday night fellowship. I don't know. I don't really have a reason to go up there. I went up there for that tragic event, that Christmas parade massacre. But do you live in Waukesha, John or Josh? So I was planning on going out yesterday afternoon and or sometime during the day. And between the time I finished cleaning the church and the time we headed back to church, I had 5 or 6 meetings on the phone regarding the book, and then I had one when I got home from church with Marv. And most of those meetings were close to an hour, some of them longer. But they were all good, all important, gotten a lot of things squared away. In fact, I'm helping Marv right now. Marv's trying to finish up the graphics for the dust jacket and the paperback cover. And so he asked me to pitch in to help with some of the typesetting, um, just some of the minor stuff. And so I started going over the document this morning again. We, we were going to print it at a 12-point font, which is pretty much a standard size font. And I thought the book was going to be 360 pages with a standard 9x6 format. That most books you get are about that size, 6x9, 9x6. And it came in at 440 pages, which was going to change pricing. It was going to up everything. It was going to up printing costs, publishing costs. So we reduced it down to 11-point font, which is still very readable. I'm working through in preparing to start a study here at home. So hopefully sometime in September, I'm working through J.C. Ryle's Practical Holiness, or Practical Religion, rather, Practical Religion. And that's typeset in a 10.5 font. And that's almost 400 pages at a 10.5. And it's very readable at a 10.5. Even for me, I need glasses. And so it's very readable. And so at 11, a little bit bigger, it'll be just fine, should be just fine. But that brings us back down into the 360 to 380 range on the page count. And so happy about that. So after our reading this morning, not sure how much we're going to read this morning. I don't know if we'll get 10 in this morning. We might. But take Roxy for another morning walk. And then I'm going to hit the streets for a little bit because I have a lunch meeting at a restaurant here, walking distance from my house. Yeah, no, it'll be black. I think it'll be black as far as the font color and typeset color, I think. Anyways, having lunch today with Pastor Mike and Deacon Cal, specifically to talk about publishing the book, finances regarding that, the church's involvement and what have you. So we're going to be doing that. And then, I don't know, I might go back out on the streets for a little bit in the afternoon. Going to try to stick around a little bit just for the dog to make sure she gets settled. And she's already a bit mopey. But hey, is what it is. So, but you know what? You can be praying for me again. Yeah, I get. I already miss my wife. I miss my daughter too. Of course, I miss my daughter too. But I miss my bride. I really hate being away from her for any length of time. At least, when I'm on the streets and she's at work or whatever, and we're not, with each other, we're close. So, I mean, my ladies aren't leaving the state. They're not going to be more than a few hours away at any given time. But still, yeah. So enough about that. Anyways, all right. Why don't we jump right into it, folks? I'm going to try. Type in my adoptive granddaughter, Liana Peterson. She's adopted me, just as her little sister Selah has, and as their papa. And she wanted to be with us for Bible reading. I don't know if she's up this early, but probably that. Probably busy around the house. And there without Maddie. Maddie Peterson is who I took to the airport the other day. So Stephanie, mom, a bit short-handed at the house, so they're probably real busy this morning. All right. Okay. I'm all over the map this morning, aren't I? All right. So, I don't know if I mentioned it. Oh, no, I don't think I mentioned this yesterday. We'll see. I don't know if I did or not. If if Marv can finish up the graphics, the artwork for the covers, and if we can get this document finally to the printer publisher, Julio Rodriguez, who's putting together the website, believes that we could start taking pre-orders as early as 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. That would be fantastic. That would be great. So I got some touch-up work to do. Some touch-up. Wow, thank you so much, everybody. Look at that. I see 10 actually logged in to watch and 10 likes. You guys are amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen that many likes. So thank you for that, guys. That's wonderful. But I got some more touch-up to do. And I'll probably try to finish that up real quick before hitting the streets. I got to get out on the streets today for a number of reasons, not the least of which, the most important of which, of course, is, well, got to see if I can't share the gospel with somebody. But I got to get out. Got to get out today. So maybe twice. We'll see. All right. Let's begin our time in order of prayer. We'll turn to Spurgeon's morning devotion, and then we will pick up our reading in Genesis 25 in the Legacy Standard Bible. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this morning. Thank you already for the forgiveness of sin. Father, thank you already for your grace and your mercy and your love. Already shown this morning here, just a little after 7 here in Iowa. Oh, Father, I pray for my ladies. I pray for Marie and Amanda. Father, I do ask that you would bless their time together, kind of their last hurrah together before the wedding in August. Things are going to get increasingly busy around here, as you know perfectly well, better than we do, Father. So I pray that you would give them safe travels in the 3-hour drive they got this morning, and then another couple of hours a little later this afternoon until they settle into where they're going to stay. Father, Amanda, so good at putting together itineraries. Boy, she just has put together a lot of fun things for her and her mom to do, and they were so excited when they left. And so, Lord, please bless Maria and Amanda with a sweet, safe, enjoyable, memorable time over these next few days, and Lord, help me to do well as a bachelor over the next few days. I already long to see them. Father, we are here to read your word this morning, and we are thankful for it. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to finish our first reading of the word early, to allow us to get this head start on the second reading of the year. Thank you, Father. Your word is so amazing, Father. I never bore, I never tire of reading your word. Father, the stories I have read dozens and dozens and dozens of times, if not more. Lord, your word is alive and active and sharper than any two-edged sword in these narratives, in the law, in the prophets, in the Psalms, in the wisdom literature, Father, in the Gospels, in the letters, in the historical accounts. Father, it's all perfect, God-breathed, inerrant, infallible, and it's the way you have chosen to speak to your people. Come, Lord, and speak to us today through your word, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. There she is. Oh, hey, Liana. All right. I had texted Liana. Everyone. So Stephanie Peterson is mom, and Liana, who just turned 7 this last Saturday, is one of my sweet grandchildren. uh, from my church family, and Liana was excited that I was going to start reading the Bible again because she really wants to start reading the Bible, and so she's going to read it today with us, and hopefully, as often as possible, she'll be able to pop into the chat and say good morning and join us. So everyone, Liana, these are my friends from around the world. Liana, we've got people. Let's see, we've got John Francis from Hungary. We've got Eunice, who's from Nigeria. And then we've got people spread out from around the United States. We've got Big Sister Maria and Sarah from Georgia. We got Scott and Chris, who's from New Jersey. Big John, who's from Southern California. Forgive me, Scott. I forgot where you're from. I'm sorry. It'll come back to me. I'm sorry. Yeah. So just so you guys know, not that I would expect you to know, but thanks, Big John. Liana spells her name that way. Liana. So San Antonio. That's right. That's right. I should remember that. My daughter and son-in-law and grandson are moving to New Braunfels here in that area in August. So, which is basically San Antonio. So, all right. So welcome, Liana. Okay. All right. So Liana, the first thing we do is Papa reads from Spurgeon, Charles Spurgeon, one of Papa's favorite preachers, lived a long time ago. He wrote many things, and he wrote a book called Morning and Evening Devotion. And we're going to read this morning's devotion, which is drawn from Exodus 8:28, which reads in part, "Only ye shall not go very far away." Spurgeon writes, "This is a crafty word from the lip of the arch-tyrant Pharaoh. If the poor bondaged Israelites must needs go out of Egypt, then he bargains with them that it shall not be very far away, not too far for them to escape the terror of his arms and the observation of his spies. After the same fashion, the world loves not the nonconformity of nonconformity or the dissonance of dissent. It would have us be more charitable and not carry matters with too severe a hand. Death to the world and burial with Christ are experiences which carnal minds treat with ridicule, and hence the ordinance which sets them forth is almost universally neglected and even contemned. Worldly wisdom recommends the path of compromise and talks of moderation. According to this carnal policy, purity is admitted to be very desirable, but we are warned against being too precise. Truth is, of course, to be followed, but error is not to be severely denounced. Yes, says the world, be spiritually minded by all means, but do not deny yourself a little gay society or an occasional ball and a Christmas visit to a theater. What's the good of crying down a thing when it is so fashionable and everybody does it? Multitudes of professors yield to this cunning advice, to their own eternal ruin. If we would follow the Lord wholly, we must go right away into the wilderness of separation and leave the Egypt of the carnal world behind us. We must leave its maxims, its pleasures, and its religion too, and go far away to the place where the Lord calls his sanctified ones. When the town is on fire, our house cannot be too far from the flames. When the plague is abroad, a man cannot be too far from its haunts. The further from a viper, the better, and the further from worldly conformity, the better. To all true believers, let the trumpet call be sounded. Come ye out from among them. Be ye separate. Be separate. All right. Now, turning our attention to the Bible, Liana, we are starting in Genesis 25 today. Genesis 25. All right. God's word tells us this. Now Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah, and she bore to him Zimran and Jokshan and Medan and Midian and Ishbak and Shua. Now Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asherim and Letushim and Leumim. Some hard names in this part of the Bible, Liana. And the sons of Midian were Ephah and Epher and Hanok and Abidah and Eldaah. All these were the sons of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. But to the sons of the concubines which Abram had, Abram gave gifts while he was still living. and he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the land of the east. These are the days of the years of Abraham's life, that he lived 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of days, and he was gathered to his people. Then his sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, facing Mamre, the field which Abraham bought from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. Now it happened after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac lived in Beer Lahai Roi. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abram's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's servant woman, bore to Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names in the order of their birth: Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, and Kedar, and Abdiel, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadad, and Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their villages and by their camps, 12 princes according to their tribes. These are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Havilah to Shur, which is east of Egypt, as one goes toward Assyria. He settled in the face of all his brothers. Now these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham became the father of Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to be his wife. And Isaac entreated Yahweh on behalf of his wife because she was barren. And Yahweh was moved by his entreaty, so Rebekah, his wife, conceived. But the child struggled together within her, and she said, "If it is so, why then am I this way?" So she went to inquire of Yahweh, and Yahweh said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples will be separated from your body. And one people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." And her days to give birth were fulfilled, and behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came forth red all over, like a hairy garment, and they named him Esau. Afterward, his brother came forth with his hand holding on to Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 6 years old when she gave birth to them. And the boys grew up. Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a peaceful man, living in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he had an appetite for hunted game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob had cooked stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was famished. Then Esau said to Jacob, "Please give me a swallow from the red stuff, this red stuff, for I am famished." Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." And Esau said, "Behold, I am about to die, so of what use then is the birthright to me?" And Jacob said, "First swear to me." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. So Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and rose and went away. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Chapter 26. Now there was a famine in the land beside the previous famine that had occurred in the days of Abraham. So Isaac went to Gerar, to Abimelech, king of the Philistines. And Yahweh appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Dwell in the land of which I shall tell you. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and bless you, for to you and to your seed I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath which I swore to your father Abraham. And I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and I will give your seed all these lands, and by your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Because Abraham listened to my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws." So Isaac lived in Gerar. Then the man of the place asked about his wife, and he said, "She is my sister," for he was afraid to say "my wife," thinking lest the men of the place kill me on account of Rebekah, for she is beautiful in appearance. Now it happened, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out through a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was caressing his wife Rebekah. Then Abimelech called Isaac and said, "Behold, surely she is your wife. How then did you say she is my sister?" And Isaac said to him, "Because I said, lest I die on account of her." And Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the people might easily have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech commanded all the people, saying, "He who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." And Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and Yahweh blessed him. And the man became great and continued to grow greater until he became very great. And he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and many servants, so that the Philistines were jealous of him. Now all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines stopped up by filling them with earth. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are too mighty for us." And Isaac departed from there and camped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Then Isaac dug again the wells of water which had been dug in the days of his father Abraham. But the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and he called them by the same names by which his father had called them. Then Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well of flowing water. And the herdsmen of Gerar contended with the herdsmen of Isaac, saying, "The water is ours." So he named the well Esek, because they quarreled with him. Then they dug another well, and they contended over it also. So he called it Sitnah. Then he moved away from there and dug another well, and they did not contend over it. So he named it Rehoboth. And he said, "At last Yahweh has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land." And he went up from there to Beersheba. And Yahweh appeared to him that night and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your seed for the sake of my servant Abraham." So he built an altar there and called upon the name of Yahweh and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants dug out a well. Now Abimelech came to him from Gerar with his advisor Ahuzath and Phicol, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" Then they said, "We see plainly that Yahweh has been with you." So we said, "Let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us cut a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we have not touched you and have done to you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of Yahweh." Then he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. In the morning they arose early, and each swore to the other. Then Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. Now it happened on that day that Isaac's servants came in and told him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." So he called it Shibah. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. And Esau was 40 years old, and he took as a wife Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and also Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. And they brought bitterness to Isaac and Rebekah. Chapter 27. Now it happened that when Isaac was old and his eyes were too dim to see, then he called his older son Esau and said to him, "My son." And he said to him, "Here I am." And Isaac said, "Behold, now I am old, and I do not know the day of my death. So now please take up your gear, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and prepare a savory dish for me, such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, so that my soul may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening while Isaac was speaking to his son Esau. Then Esau went to the field to hunt for game to bring to Isaac, but Rebekah spoke to her son Jacob, saying, "Behold, I heard your father speaking to your brother Esau, saying, 'Bring me some game and prepare a savory dish for me.'" Um, I lost my spot. Okay. Um, "That I may eat and bless you in the presence of Yahweh before my death." Verse 8. "So now, my son, listen to my voice as I command you. Go now to the flock and get for me 2 choice young goats from there, that I may prepare them as a savory dish for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall bring it to your father, that he may eat, so that he may bless you before his death." Then Jacob answered his mother Rebekah, "Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. Perhaps my father will feel me, then I will be as a mocker in his sight, and I will bring upon myself a curse and not a blessing." But his mother said to him, "Your curse be on me, my son. Only listen to my voice and go, get them for me." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother made a savory dish, such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best garments of Esau, her elder son, which were with her in the house, and she put them on Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the young goats on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. She also gave the savory dish and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. Then he came to his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" And Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Rise up, please, sit and eat of my game, that your soul may bless me." Then Isaac said to his son, How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because Yahweh your God caused it to happen to me. Then Isaac said to Jacob, Please come near, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son Esau or not. So Jacob came near to Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he did not recognize him because his hands were hairy and like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, Are you really my son Esau? And he said, I am. So he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's game, that my soul may bless you. And he brought it near to him, and he ate, and he also brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, Please come near and kiss me, my son. So he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his garments, and then he blessed him and said, See, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which Yahweh has blessed. Now may God give you of the dew of heaven, and of the fatness of the earth, and an abundance of grain and new wine. Many peoples serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master of your brothers, and may your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you. Now it happened that as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had hardly gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. Then he also made a savory dish and brought it to his father, and he said to his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said to him, Who are you? And he said, I am your son, your firstborn Esau. And then Isaac trembled exceedingly violently, uh, and said, Who was he then that hunted the game and brought it to me, so that I ate of all of it before you came and blessed him? Indeed, he shall be blessed. As Esau heard the words of his father, he cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me, me also, O my father. And he said, Your brother came deceitfully and has taken away your blessing. And then he said, Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he has taken away my blessing. And he said, Have you not reserved a blessing for me? But Isaac answered and said to Esau, Behold, I have made him your master, and all his fellow brothers I have given to him as, as servants, and with grain and new wine I have sustained him. Now as for you, then what can I do, my son? And Esau said to his father, Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. So Esau lifted his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, Behold, away from the fatness of the earth shall be your habitation, and away from the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and your brother you shall serve. But it shall be when you become restless, then you will break his yoke from your neck. So Esau bore a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. Then the words of her elder son Esau were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called her younger son Jacob and said to him, Behold, your brother Esau is consoling himself concerning you by planning to kill you. So now, my son, listen to my voice and arise, flee to Haran, to my brother Laban. Stay with him a few days until your brother's wrath subsides, until your brother's anger against you subsides, and he forgets what you did to him. Then I will send and get you from there. Why should I be bereaved of you both in one day? Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I am tired of living because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife from the daughters of Heth like these, from the daughters of the land, what good will my life be to me? Chapter 28. So Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and commanded him and said to him, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and from there take yourself a wife from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may become an assembly of peoples. May he also give you the blessing of Abraham, to you and to your seed with you, that you may possess the land of your sojournings, which God gave to Abraham. Then Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. And Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take for himself a wife from there. And that when he blessed him, he commanded him, saying, Come here, boy, come here, come here. Blessed him, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob had listened to his father and his mother and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan were displeasing in the sight of his father Isaac, And Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife, besides the wives that he had. Then Jacob departed from Beersheba and went toward Haran, and he reached a certain place. Come here, come here. He reached a certain place and spent the night there because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it under his head and lay down in that place. Here you go. There we go. Yeah, that way Liana could see it too. Verse 12. Then he had a dream, and behold, a ladder stood on the earth with its top touching heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, Yahweh stood above it and said, I am Yahweh, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give it to you and to your seed. And your seed will also be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you and in your seed all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Behold, I am with you and will keep you wherever you go. And I will bring you back to this land, for I will not forsake you until I have done what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely Yahweh is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How fearsome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on its top. And he called the name of the place Bethel. However, previously the name of the city had been Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and will keep me on this journey on which I am going, and will give me food to eat and garments to wear, and I return to my father's house in peace, then Yahweh will be my God. Now this stone which I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. Chapter 29. Then Jacob took up his journey and came to the land of the sons of the east. Oh, pardon me for a second. Sorry. Good morning, Bethany. Good morning, Michelle. They just logged in. Liana Rose is with us, as well as Bethany Rose. Let's start chapter 29 again. Then Jacob took up his journey and came to the land of the sons of the east, and he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and behold, 3 flocks of sheep were lying there beside it. For from that well they gave water to the flocks to drink. Now the stone on the mouth of the well was large, and all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the mouth of the well and give water to the sheep to drink, and return the stone back to its place on the mouth of the well. And Jacob said to them, My brothers, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. Then he said to them, Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said to them, Is it well with him? And they said, It is well. And here is Rachel, his daughter, coming with the sheep. And he said, Behold, it is still high day. It is not time for the livestock to be gathered. Give water to the sheep to drink and go pasture them. But they said, We cannot until all the flocks are gathered. And they rolled the stone from the mouth of the well. Then we give water to the sheep to drink. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. Now it happened when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob came near and rolled the stone from the mouth of the well and gave water to the flock of Laban, his mother's brother, to drink. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was a relative of her father and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. So it happened that when Laban heard the report of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him. And he embraced him and kissed him and brought him to the house. Then he recounted to Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him 1 month. Then Laban said to Jacob, Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and beautiful in appearance. Now Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than to give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. and they were in his sight but a few days because of his love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her." And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it happened in the evening that he took his daughter Leah and brought her to him, and Jacob went into her. Laban also gave his servant woman Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a servant woman. Now it happened in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served with you? Why then have you deceived me?" But Laban said, "It is not the practice in our place to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill the week of this one, and we will give you the other also for the service which you shall serve with me for another 7 years." And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him his daughter Rachel as his wife. Laban also gave his servant woman Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her servant woman. So Jacob went in to Rachel also, and indeed he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban for another 7 years. And Yahweh saw that Leah was unloved, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived. Um, so Leah conceived and bore a son, and named him Reuben. For she said, "Because Yahweh has seen my affliction, surely now my husband will love me." Then she conceived and again and bore a son, and said, "Because Yahweh has heard that I am unloved, he has therefore given me this son also." So she named him Simeon. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will be joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." Therefore he was named Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "This time I will praise Yahweh." Therefore she named him Judah. Then she stopped bearing. Chapter 30. Then Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children. So she became jealous of her sister, and she said to Jacob, "Give me children, or else I die." Then Jacob, then Jacob's anger burned against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in the place of God? Who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" And she said, "Here is my maidservant Bilhah. Go into her, that she may bear on my knees, that through her I too may obtain children." So she gave him her servant woman Bilhah as a wife, and Jacob went into her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, "God has rendered justice to me, and has indeed listened to my voice, and has given me a son." Therefore she named him Dan. And Rachel's servant woman Bilhah conceived again, and bore Jacob a second son. So Rachel said, "With mighty wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister, and I have indeed prevailed." And she named him Naphtali. Then Leah saw that she had stopped bearing. So she took her servant woman Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. And Leah's servant woman Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "Now, how fortunate!" So she named him Gad. And Leah's servant woman Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, "Happy am I, for women will call me happy." So she named him Asher. And in the days of the wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter for you to take my husband? And would you take my son's mandrakes also?" So Rachel said, "Therefore he will lie with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes." Then Jacob came in from the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he lay with her that night. And God listened. Uh, and God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. And Leah said, "God has given me my wages, because I gave my servant woman to my husband." So she named him Issachar. Then Leah conceived again and bore a sixth son to Jacob. And Leah said, "God has gifted me a good gift. This time my husband will honor me, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Afterward she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. So she conceived and bore a son, and said, "God has taken away my reproach." And she named him Joseph, saying, "May Yahweh give me another son." Now it happened, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away, that I may go to my own place and to my own land. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you yourself know me, you know my service which I have rendered you." But Laban said to him, If now I have found favor in your sight, stay with me. I have interpreted an omen that Yahweh has blessed me on your account. And he continued to say, name me your wages, and I will give it. But he said to him, You yourself know how I have served you, and how your livestock have fared with me. For you had little before I came, but it has spread out to a multitude, and Yahweh has blessed you at every step of mine. But now, when shall I provide for my own household also? So he said, What shall I give you? And Jacob said, You shall not give me anything. If you will do this one thing for me, I will again pasture and keep your flock. Let me pass through your entire flock today, removing from there every speckled and spotted sheep, and every black one among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and such shall be my wages. So my righteousness will answer for me later, when you come concerning my wages. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if found with me, will be considered stolen. And Laban said, Behold, let it be according to your word. So he removed on that day the striped and spotted male goats, and all the speckled and spotted female goats, every one with white in it, and all the black ones among the sheep, and gave them into the care of his sons. And he put a distance of 3 days' journey between him and Jacob was pasturing the rest of Laban's flocks. Then Jacob took fresh rods of poplar and almond and plane trees, and he peeled white stripes in them, exposing the white which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled in front of the flocks in the trough, that is, in the watering channels, where the flocks came to drink, and they mated when they came to drink. So the flocks mated by the rods, and the flocks brought forth striped, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob separated the lambs, and he made the flocks face toward the striped, and all the black in the flock of Laban. And he set his own herds apart, and did not set them with Laban's flock. Now it would be that um, whether the stronger of the flocks were mating, whenever the stronger of the flocks were mating, Jacob would place the rods in the side of the flock and the trough, so that they might mate by the rods. But when the flocks were feeble, he did not put them in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. So the man spread out exceedingly, and had large flocks, and female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. Chapter 31. How are we doing on time here? Okay. Then Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that belongs to our father, and from what belonged to our father he has made all his wealth. And Jacob saw the face of Laban, and behold, it was not friendly toward him as formerly. Then Yahweh said to Jacob, Return to the land of your fathers and to your kin, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to his flock in the field. And he said to them, I see your father's face, that it is not friendly toward me as formerly, but the God of my father has been with me. You also know that I have served your father with all my power. Yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. However, God did not allow him to harm me. If he spoke thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flock bore speckled. And if he spoke thus, the stripe shall be your wages, then all the flock bore stripe. Thus God had delivered your father's livestock and given them to me. Now it happened at that time when the flock were mating, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the male goats were which were mating were striped, speckled, and mottled. Then the angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob, and I said, Here I am. He said, Lift up now your eyes and see that all the male goats which are mating are striped, speckled, and mottled, for I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar, where you made a vow to me. Now arise, leave this land, and return to the land of your kin. Then Rachel and Leah said to him, Do we still have any portion or inheritance in our father's house? Are we to be counted by him as foreigners? For he has sold us and has also entirely consumed our purchase price. Surely all the riches which God has delivered over to us from our father belong to us and our children. Now then, do whatever God has said to you. Then Jacob arose and put his children and his wives upon camels, and drove away all his livestock and all his possessions which he had accumulated, his acquired livestock which he had accumulated in Padan Aram, in order to go to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. Now Laban had gone to shear his flock. Then Rachel stole the household idols that were her father's. And Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he was fleeing. So he fled with all that he had, and he arose and crossed the river and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. Then it was told to Laban that on the third day that Jacob had fled. So he took his relatives with him and pursued him a distance of 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream of the night and said to him, "Beware, lest you speak to Jacob either good or bad." So Laban caught up with Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his relatives camped in the hill country of Gilead. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done by deceiving me and carrying away my daughters like captives of the sword? Why did you flee secretly and deceive me and not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with gladness and with songs, with tambourine and with lyre, and not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Now you have acted foolishly. It is in my hand to do evil against you, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, 'Beware of speaking either good or evil to Jacob.' So now you have indeed gone away because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, "Because I was afraid, because I said, 'Lest you take your daughters from me by force.' The one with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, recognize what is yours among my belongings and take it for yourself." But Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the two maidservants, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols and put them in the camel's saddle, and he sat on them. And Laban felt through all the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, "Let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise before you, for the manner of the woman is upon me." So he searched, but did not find the household idols. Then Jacob became angry and contended with Laban, and Jacob answered and said to Laban, "What is my transgression? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Though you have felt through all my goods, what have you found of all your household goods? Place it here before my relatives and your relatives, that they may decide between us two. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten the rams of your flocks. That which was torn of beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. You required it of my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was by day, the heat consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I have been in your house. I served you 14 years, and for your two daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the dread of Isaac, had not been for me, surely now you would have sent me away empty. God has seen my affliction and the toil of my hands, so he rendered the decision last night." Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these daughters of mine, or to their children whom they have borne? So now come, let us cut a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between you and me." Then Jacob took a stone and raised it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his relatives, "Gather stones." So they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. And Laban called it Jegar Sahudatha, but Jacob called it Galeed. And then Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me this day." Therefore it was named Galeed. And Mizpah, for he said, "May Yahweh watch between you and me when we are absent one from the other. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take wives beside my daughters, although no man is with us, see, God is witness between you and me." And Laban said to Jacob, "Behold, this heap, and behold, the pillar which I have set between you and me. This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass by this heap to you for harm, and you will not pass by this heap and this pillar to me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge between us." So Jacob swore by the dread of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his relatives to eat a meal. And they ate the meal and spent the night on the mountain. And Laban arose early in the morning and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his place. Chapter 32. How many chapters is that? Let's see. Okay. Now Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. Then Jacob said when he saw them, "This is God's camp." So he named that place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers before him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He also commanded them, saying, "Thus you shall say to my lord, to Esau, thus says your servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban and have been delayed until now. I have oxen and donkeys and flocks and male and female slaves, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find favor in your sight." Then the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother, to Esau, and furthermore he is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people who were with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels into two camps. And he said, "If Esau comes to the one camp and strikes it, then the camp which remains will escape." And Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Yahweh, who said to me, 'Return to your land and to your kin, and I will prosper you,' I am unworthy of all the loving kindness and all the truth which you have shown to your slave. For with my staff only I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and strike me down with the mothers and the children. For you said, 'I will surely prosper you and make your seed as the sand of the sea, which is too great to be numbered.'" So he spent the night there. Then he took from what he had with him a present for his brother Isaac: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milking camels and their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. And he gave them into the hand of his servants, every flock by itself, and said to his servant, "Pass on before me and put a space between flocks." And he commanded the first one in front, saying, "When my brother Esau meets you and asks you, saying, 'To whom do you belong? And where are you going? And to whom do these animals in front of you belong?' Then you will say, 'These belong to your servant Jacob. It is a present sent to my lord, to Esau. And behold, he also is behind us.'" Then he commanded also the second and the third and all those who followed the flocks, saying, "After this manner you shall speak to Esau when you find him. And you shall say, 'Behold, your servant Jacob also is behind us.' For he said, 'I will appease his face with the present that goes before me. Then afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will lift up my face.'" So the present passed on before him, while he himself spent that night in the camp. And he arose that same night and took his two wives and his two servant women and his 11 children and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. And he took them and sent them across the stream. And he sent across whatever he had. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of dawn. And he saw that he had not prevailed against him, so he touched the socket of his thigh. And so the socket of Jacob's thigh was dislocated while he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But he said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then he said, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men, and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him and said, "Please tell me your name." But he said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And he blessed him there. So Jacob named the place Peniel, for he said, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been delivered." And the sun rose upon him as he crossed over Peniel, and he was limping on his thigh. Therefore to this day the sons of Israel do not eat the sinew of the hip, which is on the socket of the thigh, because he touched the socket of Jacob's thigh and the sinew of the hip. Uh, hmm. Chapter 33. You guys still with me? Looks that way. Then Jacob lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the two servant women. And he put the servant women and their children first, and Leah and her children after them, and Rachel and Joseph after them. But he himself passed on ahead of them and bowed down to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the woman and the children and said, "Who are these with you?" And he said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the servant women came near with their children, and they bowed down. Leah likewise came near with her children, and they bowed down. And afterward Joseph came near with Rachel, and they bowed down. And he said, What do you mean by all these camps which I have met? And he said, To find favor in the sight of my Lord. But Esau said, I have plenty, my brother. Let what you have be your own. And Jacob said, No, please. If now I have found favor in your sight, then take my present from my hand. For I see your face as one sees the face of God, and you have received me favorably. Please take my blessing, which has been brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have everything. Thus he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, Let us take our journey and go, and I will go before you. But he said to him, My Lord knows that the children are weak, and that the flocks and herds which are nursing are a care to me. Uh, and if they are driven hard, one day all the flocks will die. Please let my Lord pass on before his servant, and I will lead on slowly, according to the pace of the cattle that are before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord at Seir. Then Esau said, Please let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. But he said, Why do this? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built for himself a house and made booths for his livestock. Therefore the place is named Succoth. Now Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and he camped before the city. Then he bought a portion of a field where he had pitched his tent from the hand of the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 keseta. Then he set up there an altar and called it El Elohe Israel. And we will finish with chapter 34 today. That'll be 10 chapters. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Then Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her and took her and lay with her and violated her. And he was deeply attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman and spoke to the heart of the young woman. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, Get me this girl as a wife. Now Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter, but his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob kept silent until they came in. Then Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. Now the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very angry because he had done a disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, for such a thing ought not to be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife, and intermarry with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. Thus you shall live with us, and the land will be open before you. Live and trade in it, and take possession of property in it. And Shechem also said to her father, and her brothers, If I find favor in your sight, then I will give whatever you say to me. Ask me ever so much bridal payment and gift, and I will give according as you say to me. But give me the girl as a wife. But Jacob's sons answered Shechem and his father Hamor with deceit, and thus they spoke, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said to them, We cannot do this saying, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. Only on this condition will we consent to you, if you will be like us, in that every male among you be circumcised. Then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters for ourselves, and we will live with you and become one people. But if you will not listen to us to be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and go. Now their words seemed good in the sight of Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. So the young man did not delay to do the thing, because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. Now he was more honored than all the household of his father. So Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceful with us, therefore let them live in the land and trade in it. For behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us as wives, and give our daughters to them. Only on this condition will the men consent to us to live with us, to become one people, that every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. Will not their livestock and what they acquire and all their cattle be ours? Only let us consent to them, and they will live with us, and all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and to his son, to his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. Now it happened on the third day, when they were in pain, that two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and came upon the unsuspecting city and killed every male. And they killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went away. Jacob's sons came up upon the slain and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks and their herds and their donkeys, and that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and they captured and plundered all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives, even all that was in the houses. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble on me by making me odious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And my men, being few in number, they will gather together against me and strike me, and I will be destroyed, I and my household." But they said, "Should he treat our sister as a harlot?" All right. Tragic, horrific story. And again, testifying to the authenticity of the Bible. The Bible doesn't present everyone clean and pristine. It is a progressive revelation of God to his people. Obviously, starting from Genesis 3, declaring that the Christ would come, the Messiah would come, and everything is working to that end. All right. Hey, thank you everyone for joining me for this edition of, 13 likes. That's amazing. Thank you everyone for joining me for this edition of Bible Reading Fellowship. Lord willing, we will get together tomorrow at the same time, where we'll pick up our reading in Genesis chapter 35. Liana Rose, if you're still there, I love you, sweetie. Papa loves you. Bethany Rose, my rosebud, if you're still there, Papa loves you. I hope you all have a blessed day in the Lord, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Roxy's out. Have a great day, everyone.